Hi everyone, and welcome back to my garden. Following on from last month's video, which I'll put a link to in the box below, the water in the back garden finally drained enough for me to start digging again. It was pretty slow work. A line of this across took me about 2 hours ago because the soil was just so heavy and wet and full of stones. There's loads more life in the garden. The wisteria buds really started to shoot up when I filmed this a couple of weeks ago, and my French lavender reappeared. I was delighted, as someone told me it wouldn't make it through the winter as it's a bit tender apparently, but it's proven them wrong. The aqualegias I planted have really come into their own, and I'm still waiting on my salvias to put on some growth. There are small signs, but it's very slow. I did No Mow May last year, and I loved all the wildflowers that appeared in the lawn and the bug and bird life that it encouraged in the garden. So I'm going to do the same this year. However, I came across a video by Joel Ashton, which I'll link also in the box below, in which he spoke about how No Mow May, while it's a good concept with good intent, it can be a little bit misguided in that its benefit to wildlife is it encourages wildlife to move into these areas only for them to be cut back in June and July, and so it cuts short the benefit that it can actually give to wildlife he is proposing. He hypothesized that you should do a no-mow summer instead of no-mow May. So to that end, I'm going to leave one area of the garden grow the whole summer as an experiment to see what happens. Things are growing so fast at the moment that there's something new nearly every day you come out into the garden. For example, I planted these irises last year, and I love the look of irises as I'm a really big fan of Van Gogh's art, and he painted them so beautifully. They are something I really want to grow more of, and you can see how fast things are growing as these clips were taken just over the last couple of weeks. I went to Photo Plant Fair at the end of April, and I was very proud of myself for how restrained I was when it came to buying anything. I obviously don't have a greenhouse this year as we dismantled it last month, but I'd still like to grow some tomatoes, so I got some and I put them in pots at the front door, as the front of the house is south facing, so they'll get lots of heat and sunshine in the microclimate at the front of the house. I also potted up some dahlias that I inherited, so hopefully they'll give us a good show later on in the summer. I also bought another foxglove because I just love them. This one is a strawberry foxglove, and I'm hoping it'll flower this year and I can collect seed to sow and start a yearly succession of them. I had a little visitor to the bird bath that I managed to get on camera, which I was very excited about. I was in my parents' garden recently and I saw some ajuga growing its way through the grass, and I thought it was absolutely stunning. So when I was at Foda and saw some ajuga plants, I said, I'm going to try this myself. I planted some in the front garden last year and they don't really look that happy. So let's hope these ones will be happier in the back garden. As the weeks pass, more and more plants are coming to life. I planted some echinaceas last year and they did only okay, so I wasn't sure if they were going to come back this year after the winter we had, but apparently there's life in them yet. There was also this mysterious shoot, which I couldn't figure out for weeks what it was. I even looked back at pictures of the garden last year to see what was planted there, but the space was empty for some reason. And then one day a brainwave hit me. It is Veronicastrum that I bought last year, and they are gorgeous. I can't wait for this to flower. Some plants are coming back nice and strong, which is really nice to see. I bought this hardy geranium from farmer Gracie last year. I can't remember which one it is. And they really were very, very pitiful looking at the start, but it's come on quite well to the point that it's even actually spread this year, so that's good. And the alliums are slowly making their way to the stage. The ones I planted last year haven't come back at all, which is a bit disappointing, but the ones that you see here are actually self-seeded, which is great, and I hope they continue to do that in the years to come. The smell of this wallflower is absolutely divine when the wind catches it, and I think the bugs agree. And it's great because I found this half dead in a garden centre, and just look at it now. I got some bluebell bulbs last year and planted them. I didn't think they were going to come on at all, to be honest, as they are quite late, but they did start to flower at the end of April. The muscari are gone over too, and I know I said I was going to divide them, but instead I've just taken a load of the seed and scattered it around the garden, and we'll see next year if any of it's taken. But in breaking news, the wisteria is going to flower this year like I hoped it would. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but just the fact that it will at all is such positive news. Although I have been digging the soil in the back garden, my dad felt the only hope of sorting the waterlogging issue was to install something like a French drain. So he kindly came over to put one in for me. A trench was dug, which was then half filled in with grit with a layer of membrane on top, and then the earth pushed back on top of it. And while he was here, he dug the garden. And then we added about 1,000 litres of compost to help try and break up the soil. And if this doesn't help the drainage somehow, I don't know where to go from here. The hope is maybe next year to put a pergola here, as shown in my crappy drawing. So it will look out onto the flower bed, and also because we get evening sun on this wall, so it would be nice for eating outside in the summer. About 2 weeks after the drain was put in and we had left everything settle a little bit, my dad came over and rotavated the soil. And I think it was more to try out the rotavator he bought in Aldi than anything. As they say, boys with their toys. He had a notion we should try some potatoes in the soil this year for the crack. So he got some and put them in, and I think they're going to be a late harvest, but a bit of experimentation in the garden is always fun. After only a couple of weeks, the tomatoes have really come on and the dahlia shoots are just about showing. The tulips are gone for the year until next spring, which is kind of sad, but that's just how gardening goes. I'm so buzzed that the wisteria is starting to flower, and hopefully this is the start of flowers for many years to come. It smells so good. And the hedging has filled back in and is looking really lush, and I think it really changes the look of the garden when it's actually there. There's so much more growth happening and things filling in, and I really just love this time of year. My aqualegias I bought back in March are finally going over, and I'm hoping that they'll self-seed, so we'll have a few surprise extras next year. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next month.